So you go onto the community, you see our students sharing their certificate, their funded certificate. They are getting their first payout, second payout. They're making thousands of dollars. And you sit there wondering, what the hell are these certificates? Why are they getting so much money? And it's all because of PropFirm. Alright, hear me out. Alright, I'm just gonna explain everything from the start so that you as a beginner to PropFirms will understand how the entire process is gonna be like. First of all, you need to understand that in trading, you need money in order to make money. I know this might sound obvious right now, but most traders, they don't really understand this. They still think that it just comes out from thin air and just like fall down from the sky magically. No, you need money in order to make money. Which means that if you are trading with a $100 account, how the hell are you expecting yourself to make $5,000 tomorrow? It doesn't work that way. Or if you are trading with $5,000, how can you expect yourself to make $50,000 tomorrow? Once again, doesn't make sense. You need a large amount of trading capital in order to get a large amount of profits if you are trying to follow the risk management rules. So most traders, they suffer this tragedy called undercapitalization. And it basically means that you lack sufficient capital. That's what it means, right? Very simple. Most retail traders enter the market undercapitalized, which means that they don't have enough trading capital to trade with in order to make a living from trading. Example, today you venture into trading and you have quit your job. You want to pursue this full time. Now, remember, you still got your bills to pay, you still need to pay your mortgage, you still need to put food on the table, right? So if you are trying to make a living from trading, you should be at least earning $5,000 to $10,000 per month, at least, if you want to make a living from trading. And you cannot make $5,000 or $10,000 per month if you are trading with a $100 account. If you are trading with a $1,000 account, doesn't make sense whatsoever if we are trying to follow our risk management rules, which is risking no more than 1% per trade. And right now you are trading a $100 account. That means if you risk 1%, that is what? $1. And you are potentially risking $1 to make back $3, $5. How are you going to make a living when you are trading with such a small amount of money? Doesn't make sense whatsoever, right? That is why I say that most of you guys are undercapitalized. Most of you guys are broke, right? That's the cold hard truth. If you are broke, then you are expecting yourself to generate consistent income as a full-time trader. It's not gonna work out. As a result, they end up taking on excessive risk on each trade in order to get big returns, right? Next thing you know, you are trying to flip this $100 to $1,000 because you need to pay your mortgage. And as a result, you put on like a standard lot size, right? You put on a trade that is way too big for your account to handle. Or because you are focused on flipping the account, you're trying to make as much money as possible. Now, if you're able to trade with a larger capital, it'll be so much easier for you to follow your risk management rules. And as a result, trade with more peace of mind, right? Just think about it. If you are trading with a $100 account and you are risking 1% per trade, that is $1. If you are trading with a $100,000 account and you are risking 1% per trade, that is $1,000, which means you will potentially make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 on a single trade. And you can see the risk management rules is the same. We are still risking 1%. It's just the difference in the account size. You are trading with a larger capital. As a result, you are able to make a larger amount of profit. It also allows you to endure losing streaks and give you a higher chance of surviving long enough so you can actually experience those winning streaks, right? When you are going through a slump, a bad week, guess what? You're going to take a bunch of losses. And if you are trading with like a $100 account and you are over risking, you're over leveraging, it's going to take you like a few trades and then you're going to blow the account. Right? So having a larger capital allows you to really have more room to play with. And as traders, like I said, we want to play the long game, right? We want to focus on capital preservation. As a result, then we can finally make profits. Yeah, so having a large amount of capital gives you more room to breathe and it gives you more safety net, so to speak. So a proprietary trading firm is basically a company that provides capital to its traders in exchange for a percentage of the profits that they generate with the company. Example, if a prop firm gives you $100,000 to trade with and they ask for a 60-40 split, That means they could potentially take 40% of the profits that you have made, and then you get to keep the remaining 60%. That's what it means. So examples of prop firms are Funding Pips, Alpha Capital Group, FundedNext, and FTMO. And once again, there's a lot of prop firms out there. There is potentially like 50 more or something. 50 more prop firms out there to trade with, right? But these ones right here are the ones that we personally recommend, the ones that our students most commonly use, right? FTMO, FundedNext, Alpha Capital, these three actually, right? So if you have to choose one, if you are asking me for a recommendation, I would say go with FTMO, because this is always the most legit, is the most well-established, and is the most trustable and safe one that will not go wrong. Yeah, so FTMO. So the rise of prop firms lately have allowed retail traders to gain access to a large amount of trading capital from $10,000 to over $400,000. Yes, you heard that right. You could potentially trade $500,000, or they can even scale it up to $1 million in trading capital. Imagine trading with $1 million, right? If you risk 1%, that is what? How much is that? Is that like 10,000? Yeah, that's like $10,000 per trade. Yeah. So yeah, really, by having these prop firms, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, in a sense of the fact that yes, it's providing all these retail traders with a large amount of trading capital. But the thing is, these prop firms, if you want to join them, it's not easy. I'm going to explain more about the rules later on. Right, obviously the prop firms will not give you the money immediately, because you have to prove your worth by showing them you actually know what you are doing before they will entrust you with a large sum of capital. Right, they are not stupid. They are also investors. Right, they also want to make money. So that is why when you join them, right, they expect you to be somewhat profitable already, so that you can actually generate profit and then they get a percentage of the profit split. Therefore, you will be put onto a test before you can officially join the program and receive funding, right? You have to go through a test, not just one time, but 2 times. Once again, I'll discuss more about this later. Right, for now, let's just quickly look at some pros and cons of prop firm, right? So, the pros is obviously more capital equal more profits, right? Like I said, trading with a $100 account, compare that to trading with a $100,000 account. You are definitely going to make the more amount of profits because you are risking more amount of money. And there is limited downside because for prop firms, right, when you lose money, you are not liable or accountable to the losses. That means that you will not lose $5,000 or $10,000 on your trading capital. No, it's their capital that you are losing. And it doesn't really affect you whatsoever. They are not going to come after your ass and sue you whatsoever. No, they are liable for all the losses, right? So that gives you a limited downside. The only risk that you have is the upfront fee, right? The upfront fee, which I'm going to talk about later. Lastly, access to useful resources like courses, journal, and tracker, right? You are able to get access to cutting edge technology where you are able to track all your trading data, all the trades that you have taken in one place. Yeah, so this is very useful as well. Now, the cons is obviously the upfront fee, right? So when you join the prop firm, right, actually before you officially join them, you have to pass a test. In order for you to even qualify for the test, you will be required to pay a small fee, right? So example, a small fee could be, okay, if I want to get $100,000 funding, I need to pay about $1,000. Okay, that's just for me to enter into the test, not even for me to pass the test and receive the 100K. No, just for me to enter in the test. So if I fail the test, I will lose the $1,000 that I gave them. If I pass the test, they will refund me the $1,000. So technically, it's kind of risk-free, right? But obviously, there is always the risk that you are going to lose the fee if you are a bad trader or you are not consistently profitable and you just end up breaking the rules. Once again, we'll discuss more about this later. And there's an increased pressure from hitting the profit target. Yup, you heard that right. There is a specific percentage, or rather a specific target that you need to hit every single month. Lack of stability, since you can lose your funding if you break their rules, right? At any point of time, they have the power to actually remove you from the program and take away your funding, right? If you break their rules, you lose too much money, you underperform, they will just take you out, right? So there's lack of stability right there. Okay, if not, let's go and learn more about the rules of prop firms and how it actually works. And we are going to look at FTMO because that's really the most trusted. prop firm out there right now. Okay, so you can just search Google FTMO, just search online, and then you can just find the first option. This is it, right? So yeah, once again, it has been established for over 10 years now, right? Almost 10 years right now. So yeah, master of trading skill, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Let's scroll down and let me show you guys what we got right here. These are the trading objective that you need to meet. First of all, you can see, you can choose the balance, right? How much funding do you want? Do you want $10,000 in funding, or 25K, or 50K, or 100K, or 200K? You can choose them, right? Obviously, you can see the refundable fee that I'm talking about, the upfront fee that you have to pay them in order for you to qualify for the challenge, is gonna increase the higher you go, right? So you can see 10,000 is about 89 euros, 200,000 it's 1,080 euros, 100,000 is about 540 euros, right? So yeah, you can see there's different price point for different funding. Obviously 200k, it requires at least 1,000 bucks. Is quite reasonable, honestly. Yeah, but let's look at this. By the way, you can change the currency right here as well, right? Let's just stick to USD. Okay, cool. So let's say today you decide to get funded with 100k because you want to be a 6-figure funded trader. All right, so in that case, first thing you need to do is to go and buy the challenge, right? So you go here, start FTMO challenge, and bam, you'll be directed to like some sort of checkout link where you have to check out and pay them 540 euros. Once again, this is not so that you can get the 100k. No, this is just for you to qualify for the challenge. If you pass step 1 and you also pass step 2, and then you become an FTMO trader, that is when you finally get access to this 100k. Okay, so let's go through step by step. Let's look at step 1 first. Okay, so after you pay them the 540 euros, you will be given MetaTrader 4 login details, or MetaTrader 5, right? Login details, you type in your password, all that stuff, and you will be required to actually connect your MetaTrader 4 to their broker. Once that is done, that is when you can start going, right? Start attempting the challenge, right? So that is the first thing that you need to do, is to attempt the FTMO challenge, right? So during this challenge phase, once again, the trading period is unlimited, right? Which means you have as much time as you need to reach your profit target, and the profit target is basically this one right here. So in order for you to move on to the next phase, you need to make $10,000. So if you look at this is 10% of 100k, right? So if you are thinking in terms of percentage, your goal is to make 10%. And once again, they didn't limit the amount of time, right? They give you that breathing room. Last time, we didn't have the breathing room. Last time, if I was going to get funded, right, I needed to make $10,000 within 30 days, right? So nowadays, it's like much more easier, right? But now, yeah, unlimited. Like I said, you can take as much time as you need to reach your profit target. Okay, cool. Okay, next is the minimum trading days, right? 4 days, right? You must trade for at least 4 days during the current duration cycle. At least one position must be open on each of these days. A trading day is defined as a day when at least one trade is executed. If a trade is held over multiple days, only the day when the trade was executed is considered to be trading day. I believe this is very self-explanatory. You basically just need to take a trade for 4 days, and it doesn't have to be in a row. It can be like any 4 days. Next is maximum daily loss, right? So this one is, there's a little bit of formula behind it, right? So your maximum daily loss is 5%, right? You can see 5,000, that is about 5% of your initial account balance. Yeah, so this is the formula. Results of your closed position of the day plus the result of open position. This is very important. A lot of traders neglect this. Right, now here's an example right here. Initial account balance 200k, max daily loss limit is $10,000. If you happen to lose $8,000 in your closed trades, your account must not decline more than $2,000 this day. It must also not go negative $2,000 in your open floating losses. And this includes commissions and swap. Now, you can see, very important, it doesn't just include the closed trades. Right, so in this case right here on the 100k account, let's say you lost $4,000 today, and right now you still got 2 trades open right now. Those 2 trades, it cannot go into a drawdown of more than $1,000, right? That means it cannot go into negative 1,001, 1,002. Once that happens, bam, you're out. You're out of the challenge, and you lose your refundable fee, and you fail this challenge, and yeah, you are out. Yeah, so that is a rule, and they also mentioned that, okay, if you profit $5,000 in one day, then you can afford to lose 15k. So you can see, the profit, whatever you have earned, it gives you the extra buffer to play with. Yeah, but once again, just to remind you, max daily loss counts your open trades as well. By the way, this one resets at midnight, yeah, Central Eastern Time. Yeah, so take note of this. Okay, so that's the maximum daily loss rule. That is why inside the capital management module, I ask you guys to risk 0.5%, right? When you risk 0.5%, it's much more easier for you to actually pass this challenge compared to risking 1% because you have more room to play with, you have more buffer. Okay, next rule is maximum loss. Bear in mind, this is maximum daily loss, right? So this is the maximum amount of money that you can lose on a particular day within 24 hours itself, before the midnight Central Eastern Time. Okay, next is maximum loss. Now, as for your maximum loss, this is the total amount of money you can afford to lose during the entire duration of your challenge. Okay, basically your account balance, right? It cannot go below $90,000. That's it, right? That's the bare minimum, right? It cannot go below $90,000. Once you go below $90,000, you are out of the challenge. Yeah, so that's for maximum loss, right? Once again, this one is very self-explanatory. Yeah, the equity must not at any movement during the account duration decline below 90% of the initial account balance. Right, you can see, yeah, 100k, the lowest possible equity is 90k, right? If you go below 90k, no go. And once again, this is also including the open position as well. Same thing as the max daily loss. It takes into account the drawdown as well, right? How you calculate this is the same as the max daily loss. It's just that this one is not limited to 1 day, but the entire duration of the testing period. Yeah, once again, it includes the commissions and swap. And yeah, next is the profit target, like I mentioned, is 10%, right? So you need to achieve 10% in the challenge phase, right? In order for you to move on to the next phase. Yeah, so you must make $10,000 in profit right here. Okay, after you complete the first test, let's say magically, miraculously, after you have followed our mechanical trading plan, you have used our exact funding blueprint, right, to get funded. That is when you pass this first phase, you made $10,000 and you move on to the next phase. Before I move on, I just want to point out the fact that for the profit target, right, different prop firm have different profit target. In this case, FTMO requires you to make 10%. But right when you go on to the funded next, another prop firm, and you scroll down, you can see that this one, the profit target is 8%. That's the difference. You can see different prop firms have different profit target. FTMO require you to make $10,000, while FundedNext required you to make $8,000, 8%, right? And you can see the minimum trading days is also different. Once again, different prop firms have different rules, all right? Take note of that. Okay, if not, just get back to this. So yeah, phase one, you have made $10,000. Congratulations. But that's not the end. That's only the beginning. You move on to the next phase, step 2. This is the verification phase. Once again, if you look at the rules, it's the exact same rules as step 1. And it's just that now they make your life easier by requiring you to hit the profit target of 5%, right? So instead of 10%, you just need to repeat the same thing and just hit the profit target of 5%, right? And once you're able to hit that profit target of 5%, that is when you finally pass phase 1, phase 2, and you move on to get funded. And that is when you will gain access to the $100,000 in trading capital. Cool, congrats. Now you're an FTMO trader. Your job right now is to maintain consistency, is to maintain that funding and not lose your account. Because bear in mind, there is still certain rules, right? There is still the $5,000 max daily loss. There is still the $10,000 maximum loss. If at any point of time you break either of this rule right here, you are still going to lose your funding. Once you have made it past these two phases, right? Your refundable fee, this fee that you have paid them at the start, it will be refunded to you. Yeah, you heard that right. So you pretty much got this entire challenge for free.